Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jake and Ben Show. And I'm Jake, and as always, I am here with Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hey now.
And there's some news for us to talk about, and we're also gonna play a new little game that Ben has created that we're gonna get to later. But I guess we should just give a little update before we get too far into anything.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, we reviewed Mission Impossible Fallout recently with kind of a new sleeker setup for our review style. We kept it tighter to like 10 minutes. We cut out the spoilers. We got maybe a more traditional background that we will consistently use. So we're just plugging that to let you know like that's gonna be a review style for now on. So when you see in your subscription box or whatever that we have a review, it's gonna be like that. You're not gonna not know what you're getting anymore, like you have been for the past 3 or 4 reviews or whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like that setup and I was happy with it. We just have to fix the audio a little, but easy fix for next time. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, we talked and we did 4, 3 scene, the Day of Light one we're not going to talk about, at least for now. And we started, I had my feelings of what we were doing, you did too, and we both wanted to change things up. I think we changed it for the better. I like what we did, and I'm happy with what we did, and I hope people liked it, and, we'll continue from there.
Yeah, no, I was happy with it for sure. Just the audio put me off for a little bit, but we're gonna fix that easy. And then
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's about it for us. If we can get into
We're going to get into
Some-
something, and this is going to be
juiciness.
the meat and bones
Yes,
of what we're talking
let's
about.
do it.
And it's the Oscars. It's the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science. Well, guess what? They had the whole meeting, their powwow, and they came out with 3 new changes. 2 of which I'll start off with them. One is that they're shortening the show. It is now a 3-hour show. Which, hey, I'm sure there's some people out there saying, hey, can we get another hour off of that? But we're down to 3. And the other change is, hey, we're going to, during the commercial breaks, we're still going to give out awards for the, lesser categories that people are probably sleeping through. And then the big one that's been, making waves is they have a new category. And this new category is popular film. Now, when I seen this, couldn't help but laugh. I couldn't help but laugh because it put me back to before this year's Oscars. I was talking to some friends. They don't care about the Oscars. They think it's a bunch of horse shit. And I was talking to them saying, well, hey, why I like the Oscars? It's like it's credible. I mean, I felt it was credible. You get to honor these films that maybe not a lot of people have seen, and most of all, you honor great film for the most part. And if I have this talk next year about this, I feel like the Oscars have lost all credibility with popular film with this award, and it's so ridiculous. It's we're not at the MTV Movie Awards, but like the MTV Movie Awards, they know what they're going for, but like I've heard jokes like, what's next, the best kiss? It's ridiculous.
I was just gonna make that joke.
Now there's more to go into this. I'm going to pass it to you. Just I want to hear your first thoughts of, when you've seen this announcement of this new category, popular film. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I think the actual title of the category is best achievement in popular
Yeah.
film. So it's not like they haven't released the criteria for like how you win for that, but yeah, it's not just you have to be the most popular. I assume not, but I heard this. I just like skimmed over a tweet that said like Academy ads popular film, and then it was like 2022 Academy ads highest grossing Marvel movie, and in 2024. So I that's all I read, and I thought someone was just making a joke, and then I realized no, the first one is real. They are adding a popular film category, and you're right. It does feel like MTV or like a Nickelodeon award show or something like that. It's very off-putting. I don't like it. And I think there's 2 big points that I want to make. One is I get it on one hand because is it on it's on ABC, right?
It is on ABC, which is owned by Disney, which was something else we would talk about, which I think you're going into that.
Oh, I don't know if I'm quite going into that, but I'm just mentioning, like, ABC wants it to be a TV show, not an award ceremony. So it's just a juggling act. Is it an award ceremony or is it a TV show? Do you, like, is it about getting ratings or is it about honoring people in film? I don't know. This move makes it feel like they're just doing it for the ratings, and it's not really something I'd like to see, where we're here to honor some great film. And on the other hand, I mean, not on the other hand, just my other point, it kind of feels like a response to Black Panther, where a lot of people talk about Black Panther for Best Picture, and, you know, the Academy is like, well, if it doesn't get nominated, we're gonna get wicked backlash, kind of thing. How do we let these films get in? And same thing with, like, The Dark Knight, when that didn't get nominated for Best Picture, and then they added more categories. It feels like just like an early reaction to potential backlash, and I think it's a dumb move. Really, if your argument is to, you know, have movies like Black Panther or bigger blockbuster films get recognized, then I think the Academy was coming closer to getting those films for Best Picture anyways. Like, we saw less traditional Best Picture nominees last year, like Get Out, and we were getting there, and this is kind of just a step backwards, in my opinion.
Even to mention, Logan had a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Right.
Now, on the surface, somebody may look at that and be like, okay, whatever. That was a huge, I would say, milestone for, just even last year, well, this year's Oscars was a big milestone for genre film. And for everything that was built towards, hey, maybe one day we would get a movie like a Logan for Best Picture. You could get a Hugh Jackman maybe for actor. I think with this popular film, you've taken all the work away that these films have, you know, built up. You've taken it all away. Which, with the one thing you were mentioning, ABC, is what it came out was ABC was really the ones who were like, hey, can we get this category?
Yeah, I assumed it was. I didn't know that for sure. Yeah. I just assumed that's what it was.
Which, again, I wasn't in the room. I can't confirm that. These are just reports that people are going with. Now, I can believe that in the sense of, yeah, this is a TV show for them. Well, you know, they're airing this. They wanted to get good ratings, and each year they've been getting, the ratings have been getting worse. And I can understand, hey, well, why don't we give out awards for movies that people actually seen? You know, for Best Picture, most people who go to movies haven't seen what's there. You know, maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
Which in that case, I mean, sometimes it's the majority, that's all there. Now, with that, it's like, I guess I can understand, yeah, you want more ratings, but it's ridiculous. And at what point, for you as a credible award show, say, you know what, thanks ABC, but, you know, we're trying to be a credible award, you know, ceremony, you know, we're not trying to be a show, so, you know, kiss my ass. What time do you say that? And, I mean, there are some people out there saying, oh, this is just Disney trying, you know, get Oscars for their movies. I don't think Disney's thinking like that. Not at all. I really don't think they care if Avengers Infinity War gets an Oscar. What's that going to get them? An extra, $1 million? It's already made a lot. I don't think they care about that. I just think ABC is, probably thinking, hey, let's give an award for movies people actually went to see. But with that, you just take away all credibility, because when you think of the Oscars, it should be, let's celebrate great film. Now, I'm somebody who would say, hey, Avengers Infinity War as of now is my favorite movie of the year. I wasn't expecting it to be an Oscar nomination, nor, I mean, should it be? I don't think so, even though it's my favorite film. I love it. I've watched it again. I mean, that's something I'll talk about later on, because, you know, side tangent there. I bought it on Google Play thinking I'd get the bonuses, and yet I didn't, which I had to pay the same price as, you know, an iTunes or an Xbox or a PlayStation that gives the bonus, but, you know, that's something else. And Black Panther, I really like the movie. I do. I mean, if you go back, listen to us talk about it, I think it's a very good movie. Yeah, I mentioned, hey, well, because of this previous, you know, Oscars, maybe Black Panther has an outside shot. And the Oscars have put in a lot of people, like new people that would vote on these films. And I'm not somebody who'd be angry if it was. However, I would say, yeah, I don't think it should be there. There were a few of those this year that I thought shouldn't be there. That would be one of them. I think it is a very good film, but when you just compare it to great film that we should be celebrating, I don't think it is at that level. Now,
Right.
there's more we can go into, but I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, I think I've said everything about this. I think this is probably the of the three big changes they made: the runtime, cutting some of the awards, and then adding this. Well, cutting some of the awards being broadcasted, and then adding this. This was the biggest mistake, and it feels like the least like the Oscars. But just to hit on the other changes, I don't think cutting it down to 3 hours is a bad idea. I'd kind of like if they got rid of spending so much time on a best original song. That's the category that takes up
Yeah.
the most time because they perform
hate
every
that.
single one,
Yeah.
which is like, I'm not saying get rid of the category. I think like these people should.
Oh, I'd say get rid of it.
Really?
Well, no, yeah, category. You know what? Okay, maybe not get rid of the category, but we don't need to see that.
Right.
I know it's a whole thing of
yeah.
let's get a whole routine of everybody, but
Yeah, it's
the moment
it's
I
a
go take a
TV
piss break
show
or get
thing.
some food, it's when there's performances.
Yeah, it's a TV show thing. It's like this is in the same vein as adding this popular film thing. It's yeah. Where was I going with that? Yeah, I'm fine with 3 hours runtime. That's fine. And, I was cool with like however long it used to be, like 4.5 hours or whatever it got to. Like the Oscars are my favorite time of the year. Like I love watching the Oscars, getting together with friends and stuff. It's the best. But so if you cut it down to 3 hours, that's fine. That's still a good meaty length. And cutting the categories, I'm kind of torn on this. On one hand, like I get it. That's how you're gonna save that runtime. That's also gonna keep more people interested because, like, I assume it's gonna be like sound mixing. Like the general populace doesn't really care.
Yeah, I
not
think
to
it'd be
disrespectful,
they'll.
but they don't really. They don't even know what it is sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I'm torn. Like I get it, but it's also like these people are kind of being kicked to the curb. Like their achievements aren't as valuable as everyone else's. It'd be nice, like if they, which I think they are, they're gonna take all the acceptance speeches and the winners and put them together and broadcast them or upload them on the internet or something. I would like that, and I would like that to be advertised so we can actually watch that after the fact because
Yeah,
I would like to see it.
They had mentioned a little, like just to hit on that. They had mentioned that. So like the categories won't be cut, but they'll be cut from like the show
Right.
part, and that they'll give out these awards less that people watching don't care about during commercial breaks, and that later on in the show they will shout them out, but you won't see it happen live. And I assume it would be stuff like best short, best live action short, that type of stuff. I would think won't be
Yeah,
making
I'm
the
cool with
show.
that.
Yeah, I think hey, ABC, they could maybe put it online if people are curious, but they didn't say they would do that. As of now, they've just said that hey, we will shout out the stuff during the show, but it will just be during commercial. Now, so this is what I'm curious about. I'm curious about a few things. So we go on commercial, they give it on the word, they come back, and then somebody's in the middle of their speech. Are they going to say, yo, you got to get out of here now, worse than a playoff, or are we going to come back mid-speech? What are we coming back to? I'm curious how that will.
No, I'm sure they're gonna be strict. Well, they already have started, like cutting people off and like.
Don't you love that? Somebody they like this is their craft. They worked very hard at it, and now they're honored. And then you're just some guy like a sound mixer, or even like an editor, production designer, and you get up there. You're gonna give a speech, and like you get 2 words out, they play you off, and then you get, best actor, and then they're on there rambling about Sweet Nothings, and they get to go for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I again, it's a TV show thing where like people know Leonardo DiCaprio's face, or but they don't know some sort of sound mixer. But yeah, I know it's and there's always a couple people that always sass the music, and then everyone cheers.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, when they're played off, but they just keep going.
Yeah,
I forget who it was, but I remember like hearing one of somebody start screaming, and I was like, like fuck this, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I remember hearing something like that.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. I love
those are
that.
good stuff. But yeah, I think for the people that are doing it during the commercial break, they're probably going to have to be really strict so that they don't come back at the tail end of a speech or something and just very awkward, really, kind of sad.
Yeah, awkward.
But yeah, what else was there? That's I think that's about it.
Well, yeah, that's the meat of it, and to me, it's just I think the credibility for Oscars, it's no longer there with this, and I understand if this is an ABC decision, you're going for ratings, but then you just think of other categories that could have been there before this, or not even ever having this. Best motion capture, and there's just so many things that you could have added that would have been nice to see, but we won't get because, hey, who really cares about, best motion capture, that type of stuff.
Right.
But, I think it, takes away credibility. And if I have this conversation with friends when this Oscars come around and they say, I think it's, a joke. I can say, well, yeah, now I can't really argue about that.
Hold on. So are these changes for this Oscars that we're going to see in 2019? I thought they were all for 2020.
Let me look this up because I had read both. I had read that it is for 2020, and then I'd seen people talking, oh, well, now Black Panther is going to win. Now, let me say this, though. I'm curious, as much of a joke as I think this is, I want to know the specifics. How does one get a nomination for, popular, best achievement in popular film? Is it by your budget? Because then I don't think that's really right. But then if you go by box office, then that's kind of... But then if it goes by box office, what's the point of nomination? Because, hey, if it is this year, Infinity War should win.
No. I think
by no question.
I think it's like you vote for the best film of these movies that made this amount of money. So it's like, say like a movie made over half $500 million.
Okay.
And then you pick from that. You get it?
Yeah. Okay, this is 2020. Let's see. The popular film Academy announced changes as well as those changes received a mix of praise and protest, many expressed happiness and blah blah blah. Okay, let's get on to the point here.
But yeah,
Oscar ceremony in 2020 earlier than usual on February. Oh yeah, I guess that's something to mention. They have moved the Oscars up 2 weeks.
I'm down for that.
Normal time. Yeah, it says 2020 here, but it doesn't say that the best popular film will be coming in 2020. It says the change for 2 weeks up would be 2020.
Okay. Yeah. See. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know, because I was reading kind of mixed things. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, when it comes to this whole popular film, I'm not seeing a date, and maybe if you're listening, you're like, hey, dummy, it's in this article.
Then send us a link.
Let me know. Yeah, send us a link, because I'm curious.
But yeah, I think it would be if your movie made over $500 million, then it's eligible for this category, and then people vote on the best movie that made more than that.
See, but even to this whole category,
I assume
it's pretty much predictable now. As with Best Picture, it's you have the okay, what's going to be nominated? It's a discussion. Next year, I already know Avengers 4. We're gonna have Star Wars Episode 9. We're gonna have Spider-Man, Far From Home. We're going to have Captain Marvel. We're going to have, hey, maybe the Joker's there. And hey, what if, and okay, how about this? So we have this Joker movie, standalone. You have Joaquin Phoenix. You hear, hey, Robert De Niro. It's, in talks to be here. I'm not sure if that's confirmed now. Mark Maron. And that movie, small budget, 50 million. Let's say that movie let's say it's legitimately one that you could have the case that this should be for Best Picture. Now, also in this, they did say that first, a movie that's nominated in popular film could be nominated for Best Picture. However, if you're somebody who votes for it in popular film, you're probably going to think, well, hey, I'm not going to give it for Best Picture because I already gave it for popular film.
Right.
Now, so this Joker movie, let's say it's the bomb, it's fucking great. This should be, Best Picture type. But, it makes some money. And then it winds up in popular film. That's just what makes it seem, that's what I don't like about this, and it takes away the credibility of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's similar to the point that we were talking about before, where these movies are getting to the point where maybe we could see them nominated for Best Picture, and then we get this, and then it's like a step backwards. Like, okay, now we're not going to see them for Best Picture because they have their own category. It's kind of like Best Animated Film, where the Best Animated Film category is kind of only there for people who are bitching that it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, so they just gave them their own category. Where these films should also be in consideration for Best Picture. Like, they are allowed to, but it's super rare because, you know, they have their own category, even though Pixar films are usually like some of the highest praised movies of the year. But it's similar to that.
Yeah, and you know what the hell was I gonna say here about this? I think it is, yeah, very ridiculous. And like, hey, let's say it is in 2019. Even then, I know it's gonna come. It's gonna be Black Panther, Infinity War, Incredibles 2, and Black Panther would probably win. But there it is. Popular film, best achievement in popular film, Oscars. This is what I was gonna say. Yeah, like, we live in a time where everybody gets a participation award, and it's ruined, like, competition. I remember, let's put it back to, elementary school, like track and field or that type of, shit. You didn't, like, yeah, you got your participation award, but nobody cared for second or third place. I'd rather come, like, 30th than second or first, because then I'm like, well, shit, I was just 1 or 2 away from first. This fucking sucks.
Right.
But everybody gets a participation award. Oh, well, you did this, so you did so good. And it just feels like a smack in the face if you're somebody who likes these films. Like, you're not good enough, so go sit in, go sit in a corner. Here's your category.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, we talked about that for, I think, long enough. Let's move on to this little game I cooked up. And hey, it's a work in progress, so let's see how it goes. And I will give the premise of what I thought of this, how I thought this up, is that, fake news, especially in, the whole movie news, is that you get, bloggers, fan accounts, YouTube channels, or just some small, website that wants to get their views or, make some headway in what they're doing. And they put up a fake news title of a story, and it's the end-all be-all, and that's it. And you see a lot of these fake news stories, and then, if you're somebody reading them or listening to them, you're like, oh, well, I have no reason to not believe this person. So I seen some, I was looking out, I and especially on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, look at this. People actually buy this. Then you look at the views, and there's so many views, and you're like, okay, whatever. So I have 3 headlines, and I'm going to read them to you. Now, I think it is, worth noting, you don't know these, so it's not like we pre-planned this and this is a whole bit. As much of a bit it is, you don't know what this is.
Right.
So I'm going to read to you these titles, and you're going to have to guess which one is a real story.
Okay.
But I want you to work through them. So I'll read them one by one.
Okay.
And then I want you to, just think through of, is this fake news? Is it real news? What is it?
Okay.
So with that being said, I'm going to read you these headlines. So let me get out my notepad here. Let me knock it down. All right. So with our first headline, it is Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be split into 2 movies. Now, hey, Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be split into 2 movies. There's the whole trauma of Colin Trevorrow leaving the film, having to create a new story. Hey, let's see. We can work through that when we get to it. Our next story is X-Men Dark Phoenix. They're going back and doing 3 months of reshoots, which their original shoot was 3 months. And this would be like Solo. They would be reshooting the entire film, close to it. And then our next story is Star Trek 4 could lose out on both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth.
Wait, what? Say that again, that last one again?
Star Trek 4 could lose both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth.
Okay. Because Star Trek 4 was supposed to have more Chris Hemsworth to begin with, right?
Yeah. JJ came out and said, hey, this is going to be Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine. He goes back in time, he's hanging out with his father, and that's the movie.
Okay.
Well, there's more to it, but that's, when JJ was talking about it.
Okay. So I'll go through through each headline and then break it down to find out which one I think is real. Okay. The first one, the Star Wars one, splitting the third movie in a trilogy into 2 movies, I think is kind of dead. I think Avengers avoided that appropriately by making it just two different movies instead of part 1 and part 2. So when you say episode 9, is it when you split it? I assume they're talking about a part 1 and part 2 sort of deal. Which
Yeah, so this movie it's so big that they just, when they started shooting, they said, "Hey, this is just too big. We need to do 2 movies." So this would be Star Wars Episode 9 and Star Wars Episode 9.5 or 10, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, I think just that whole idea is dead. I don't think studios want that anymore. I think that is fake news. The Star Wars one is fake news. Don't tell me if I'm right yet. Let me go through them all, though.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. I'm not going to tell you if you're right.
That's fake news. The second one is Dark Phoenix doing reshoots for 3 months. I think
it is, yeah, worth noting also is that this movie has had a lot of controversy behind it. First, it was supposed to come out this November. Now it's, I believe, February of 2019. There was a reported screening of the film that, from reading, it's pretty much X-Men X3, Last Stand, I believe.
Yeah. It's X3, Last Stand. Yeah. So this one isn't that hard to believe. Reshoots are a popular thing, of course, especially in movies that are made for this much money. But I mean, doubling the production time is a little much. But I think this one has potential. I'm gonna go through the third one before I decide if this is fake news or if this is real. All right, so the Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth thing. Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth thing. This is probably a little smaller scale news, but just because it doesn't involve crazy amounts of money and time being doubled.
Well, these are their headlining actors of the film.
Yeah.
And this is the fourth of Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond.
Yes.
Of Chris Pine, who you have leading those films.
Yes.
You're in a bit of a conundrum there if you could recast.
For sure. I'm trying to think of Star Trek Beyond. Disappointed at the box office. So I wasn't 100% that they were going forward with the fourth one. I knew that they had plans for making Chris Hemsworth a bigger part of the fourth one. So I'm gonna just my first instinct when you were reading it was that the Dark Phoenix story was true and the other two were fake news. So I'm gonna say that. But this part of me still thinks I should be saying the Star Trek one is real. But I'm going to say the Dark Phoenix one is real. Star Wars and Star Trek are fake news.
Okay. That's your final answer. Can I get a drum roll?
Yeah, hold on.
You want to do a drum roll there? The story that is true is Star Trek 4 could lose both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth over budget dispute.
Damn.
Now, hey, let's go back on the other ones first, because when I told you I wanted to do this, I wanted to talk about these fake news stories, but without giving them any credibility, because it's ridiculous. Is that a few days ago, and there was these fans or whoever that said Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be split in 2 films, and a part of where this came from is they just started shooting. They started shooting August 1st, and then when they were filming, they realized, oh shit, this is too big. This has got to be 2 movies. Now, when I laughed when I read that, but there's people who generally believe this, which I think you need to be able to say, this is fake news. It is it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. There's no way in the first week of filming they're like, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. What are we doing here? There's no way that happened.
No, not at all.
And there are also people saying, oh, this is going to be the longest Star Wars movie ever. Now, I mean, that right there in itself, it is fake news. However, you could put more credibility behind it because, hey, maybe somebody read the script and they know the amount of pages it is. And then there you can get a rough idea. Obviously, you don't know until you start editing. But, there are people saying, it's going to be the longest one. We know it. And you can believe that, but Last Jedi was the longest one, 2.5. How much longer are we going there? Are we going Lord of the Rings?
Ooh.
We're going 3 hours.
I'd be down for that.
I would totally be down. I just wouldn't want it to be 3 hours to be 3 hours. I'd want it to be 3 hours
For
because
sure. I trust
you have
JJ,
3 hours of
so.
yeah. And JJ, I trust.
For sure.
And so yeah, you go on to this X-Men Dark Phoenix one, which is one you could, I wouldn't laugh at you for believing this. It makes sense, especially with reports of test screenings of how this movie was just no good at all. And it was pretty much a repeat of The Last Stand, which I gotta say that's the worst X-Men movie next to that X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
So it's not a stretch to believe it. However, they're going back for only 2 weeks of reshoots. One thing that was big within the test screening was that the third act was a mess. And so they're going back, doing 2 weeks of reshoots. Why they had to change the date is because just you have such a big ensemble of actors doing a lot of things. You had Sophie Turner doing Game of Thrones. You have James McAvoy who's doing the It sequel right now. You have a lot of moving parts with this cast, so it took a lot to bring them back.
Yeah.
So they're doing 2 weeks, and that movie will come out in February of 2019. Which 2019 is going to be a stacked year because you have
That's soon. Damn.
you start with Glass in January. Now I assume it will be big, but not the biggest one. And then you have X-Men Dark Phoenix in February. To be honest, I think it's going to bomb because you think of this Fox deal with Disney and how many. The last one, X-Men Apocalypse, didn't do all that well. And above that, you have Captain Marvel coming out in March. I got to assume a lot of eyes are going to Captain Marvel. If you look at the box office, Wonder Woman did, and this being the first female-led. I mean, I know you can say, hey, well, what about Ant-Man and the Wasp? But that was co-lead. The first led movie, a female. First MCU-led movie with a female. Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. And that's the movie before Infinity War. We got teased. I got to imagine a lot of eyes are there. The next month after is what I'm afraid for. I'm looking forward to Shazam. However, I don't see how that movie can do well at all because I look at Captain Marvel. Then we have April, and this IMAX, they did a conference call of their earnings of the year and what's coming next year, and their listing was Avengers 4 would be coming out in April. Now, hey, Avengers Infinity War was originally supposed to come out the first week of May. Then they moved it up a week to last week of April.
Right.
We could see something similar like that. I don't see how Shazam's going to make any money then with that because Avengers 4 will be either the highest grossing movie of the year or the second.
Yeah, I think there's still hope for Shazam to make money. I just think
I think
people love their
it
superhero
can.
movies anyways. If it's good, I think people will see it.
I just look at Solo for an example, and I think this is more of an extreme version. Now, hey, Solo, there's a lot of things you can pin on it, but however, you had Infinity War, which made a little over $2 billion. You had Deadpool 2 that came out the week before that made like $730 million. Then you had Solo that can barely get to $400 million. Let's say Captain Marvel, and we got to get to our real story because there's meat there, but I think next year's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Of how films do. But yeah, I think there's some hope, but not, I don't think it can do, bonkers. I think it will make at most it can make its money back. I don't think it's making much after that.
Wow.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't see it because let's say Captain Marvel, let's say at a minimum it makes $600 million worldwide. Very good. However, you got to think just if you're looking at Wonder Woman, if you look at the MCU's track record, it could be up there.
Yeah. All right.
Avengers 4, I got to assume that's got to be up. But anyways, you know what? That will be another topic for next year because we'll talk about that a lot.
We wanted like 40 minutes on this episode. Not quite sure we're going to do that. We always go
We'll
over.
probably go over, but not too much. Now, Star Trek 4. Were you a fan of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek and then J.J. did Into Darkness?
Yeah. I'm a fan of
the
whole trilogy.
Okay. I'll say this. I haven't seen the first J.J. Abrams reboot Star Trek. I haven't seen Into Darkness. I've seen Beyond, though.
Weird. Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Star Trek. I'm just, my dad was big on Star Trek. I could never get into the TV show or the movies. I didn't care for it.
Okay.
However, I watched Star Trek Beyond, directed by Justin Lin, who did most of the Fast and Furious movies. I liked it.
Yeah.
I did like it. It got me intrigued to go back and watch the other ones. Now,
you should.
What's significant about that is that Star Trek Beyond, like you said, it was a disappointment at the box office. It had a budget of $185 million and it made $343 worldwide. maybe I don't think that broke even. That's it's not that good, and especially Into Darkness made 476, so that is a big climb down. They had the plans for 4, that somewhat got delayed because of this. Where this comes from, where they could lose out on these 2, is that Paramount wanted them to take a pay cut. They wanted to stick to their original contract. They would, I assume, get a lot of money, and because of that, both of them have exited negotiations. Now, apparently, the rest of the cast, Zoe Saldana, Simon Pegg, all the regulars would come back. But these guys, what do you do? Because these would be your 2 leads in the Star Trek 4. And I think it's worth noting that S.J. Clarkson would be directing this. And she would be the first female director to direct a Star Trek film in history.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe controversial, but I think if you don't get him, you don't do it. At least right at this moment. Maybe down in the future, you can try again. But not having like those 2 massive leads, especially Chris Pine, who's been the lead for the past 3 of them, it's gonna feel cheap to you have your trilogy, and then all of a sudden you have like this 4th one with a skeleton cast or this Frankenstein cast. I don't know. It feels kind of like like years later they'll bring the show back or bring the movie back for TV, and then it's just like it's got some of them there, but some of them are busy, kind of thing. Some of them don't want to do it. It feels kind of like, no, don't recast them. It just feels cheap. You have your trilogy, and they're all great movies. All 3 of them are great. And I'm not a Star Trek fan. That's the only Star Trek content I've seen. I haven't seen the TV show, old movies, nothing. But yeah, I just maybe it's because I'm just not really passionate about seeing a 4th one. That I just kind of think if you don't get them, don't do it. But that's kind of where I fall in this situation.
Well, Star Trek right now, they've had some like they had this TV show. I forget the title of it, but it was on the, I think, CBS whatever streaming service network they had. And then they announced they're going to be doing another Star Trek series with Professor X. What the hell's his name again?
Oh, Captain Picard?
Yeah, they're doing a series with Picard coming back. What the?
Is it Captain?
That's sad.
I think it is. I don't know. I just read that. So I've never actually seen it.
So anyways, they're doing that. And do you even, the question is, would you even want to do the Star Trek 4? Because it's, from what JJ said, it's going to be heavy with the whole son and father relationship. If you recast them, I don't think you have the emotion because you don't know these guys. You don't know who's playing them. As if you see Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine, you've seen them in the other films. If you're a fan of them, I'm sure you get the emotion. But why I say you don't even have to do this film, because of Quentin Tarantino. What was big was Quentin Tarantino was like, hey, I got an idea for a Star Trek movie. From what I heard, he's a big Star Trek fan. Talk with J.J. Abrams. He tells J.J. what he would want to do, and J.J.'s like, yo, let's go meet with Paramount. And they have a meeting. Apparently they like Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie, and it would either be it's a Star Trek movie that, it's his idea, you guys go do it, or he would direct it. If you can't get Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth, I say just scrap.
Interesting.
Star
I didn't
Trek
think
4.
you were going to agree with me, but
wait for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to wrap up. Go back to Quentin and say, hey, or how serious do you want to do the Star Trek movie? And do whatever Quentin Tarantino wants to do. Now, don't give him a crazy, insane budget, but do that film. I don't see why you would do this film without those 2.
Yeah.
You very well can. Actors are replaceable. Directors are replaceable.
You definitely can.
Industry.
It's just, I don't think it's worth it.
For a franchise that was already on the down after Beyond, why go there? Yeah. So I would say wait for Quentin Tarantino, do that film.
Yeah. I think
so
I forgot about the Tarantino thing, but that just kind of supports my point, I think, where it's like, you still got these projects coming. You don't need to continue this particular storyline, especially without these 2. So yeah, I'm with you, Ben.
Yeah, and I mean, just one last point is that from what JJ said, I don't even think the supporting cast will be a big players in the movie. Like, I'm sure they would be because it's they're a big part, but I don't see them being huge. So yeah, with that was our meat. What we're going to talk about. We're probably going to get out of here in a minute. I did tell you though that I had watched the Deadpool 2 Super Duper cut.
Hit us with that.
Now,
I want to hear about that.
Yeah.
And
Now,
how
again,
does
I
one
mentioned
watch
it.
before anything?
Okay, how does one watch it? Is that it came out on digital,
Okay.
so it's not out on Blu-ray yet. I think it's
Damn.
still a week and a half until Blu-ray.
Okay.
So I made, as I mentioned with Avengers, I learned my mistake from it. I learned the lesson. I got it on the Xbox Marketplace, got me all my bonus features. I've watched most of them, haven't done the commentary yet. There's like a 30-minute, I think, roundtable or something. I haven't watched that yet. I watched the Super Duper Cut and some behind the scenes. Now, I'll mention this. I would have talked about Infinity War because there was a lot of meaty stuff from the bonus content. However, Google Play. What's up with that?
Wait till the Blu-ray. We'll do it on the Blu-ray. We'll do it for the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We'll do it for the Blu-ray. That's like a week away, but Google Play, get your shit together. If you're going to sell a movie without the bonus content,
Same
at
price
least
too,
knock
right?
off $5. Yeah, same price. Knock out like $5 or $10. What's up with that? Anyways, so I watched the Super Duper Cut. I will say this is, I know you're a fan of the theatrical release of the film.
That is correct.
And I am. I will say the best version of the movie is what they released in theaters.
Okay, good to hear.
Now, I will say, is that the Super Duper Cut, I think, is a funnier film. What it feels like is like just, a group of buddies got together and they just wanted to make a funny film. And that's what they did with the Super Duper Cut. Obviously, it's the same plot and everything. You can feel that, but it very much is a different film because it's alt takes, alt lines, 15 minutes of new footage.
Wait, 15 minutes of new footage?
15 minutes of new footage.
I thought it was half an hour longer.
No, only 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Only 15 minutes. Yeah, with it, like everything. Like even the opening. When the Dolly Parton song 9 to 5 comes on, that whole sequence different.
Interesting.
Different takes. Yeah.
Oops.
The action is different. There's even some different song choices on here. Spoiler, when they're running into their final battle. It's not that rap song that plays. I don't know who did it, so I want to know. They do Steve Miller song, Fly Like an Eagle, when they're running in. Anyways, it is I think it's good.
Yeah,
it's just not as good.
Sounds interesting. Just because,
it's not as good. I don't feel the heart is there, but it's funny. It's really funny. There are 2 or 3 jokes that were better in the theatrical. For the most part, I think this is much funnier. And there is, in the post-credits scene, and again, a lot of these scenes are extended or just new scenes, alt takes, alt lines. It is very much different, but obviously same heart of the film. Same plot. So, how different can it be? Take that, for what it is.
Yeah, I'd still buy the Blu-ray
There
to watch this.
Yeah, there's an added post-credit scene. If you've seen the movie, you would know what's going on in that post-credit scene. And I won't mention it, however, I kind of got spoiled too before I watched it because I'd seen this headline, and it was of, not to shit on all these people, but one of the lower end websites. And I don't look for them, it's just they pop up and it's like, oh, look at that. And it said, oh, controversial added or deleted scene. And it's so not controversial at all. It is so not.
Damn, huh?
Because if they went the mile to show what it is, okay, maybe you have an argument. But even that scene that I'm talking about, when you see it, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that scene, it's in the Super Duper Cut. And within that, there's also an extended scene of that in the bonuses. Even in that, it still doesn't show what would be controversial about it. So people, we talked about it last week. Outrage culture. Everybody's outraged about something. But hey, and even some of the jokes that were in the theatrical cut were funny. They were funny. However, there's more setup to them. That's all I'll say because I don't want to ruin it because it is really. I had more laugh out loud moments than I did with the theatrical cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Sweet.
That's the Super Duper Cut. I would say check it out.
All right.
I do think it is good. However, I think the best cut is the theatrical.
All right, I'm excited now. So that comes out in like a week and a half or something. You said. For
Yeah,
Blu-ray?
I think like a week and a half for Blu-ray.
All right.
About that. I'll ask you a quick question.
Let's hear it.
For movies that have had, in the Blu-ray releases, extended editions, what has been your favorite that you've seen?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. I know the Blade Runner what the Blade Runner Final Cut, I think is what it is what everyone goes to for their favorite.
Yeah.
That's like one of probably the most famous one for how different it is. I think that's what I saw. I have it on Blu-ray, and I think that's what the Blu-ray was.
Yeah. I think the one that if you go out to any store that they'll have is the Final Cut.
Yeah.
I've looked for the other versions. I haven't been able to find them. So, like, for me, I would say that. However, I haven't seen the other ones.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, the Suicide Squad one's dumb, because Suicide Squad
Oh, I hate, yeah.
Uh,
I don't like Suicide Squad, but watching that extended cut made me hate it more. What about The Watchmen? Have you seen the extended cut for that?
have I? No, I think I've only seen the theatrical cut. I'm not sure. What comes on
about-
the Blu-ray? Is it just the theatrical cut?
Uh,
Because that's what I've seen. That's what
I'm
I've
not
seen.
sure.
I actually do.
I'm not
Watchmen's
sure.
great.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's
that's
great.
alright.
What else? What other Blu-ray cuts are there?
Well, it wasn't there like a 4.5 cut of Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
One of them.
I like that one. That's a good one too. I've seen the extended versions for all Lord of the Rings movies. Return of the King's 4.5 hours long. The extended cut. I've seen that. That's good. I really like that.
Hey, Spider-Man 2. There was Spider-Man 2. They had an extended one.
Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
yeah, Tobey.
Oh, I didn't
Maguire.
know that. And I fucking love Spider-Man too, so I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, I would say check it out. I think that one is slightly better.
The Donnie Darko director's cut, I believe that's the one I watched. I'm not sure. Some of them, like, I have the Blu-ray and it says it on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Like my Donnie Darko, I think says director's cut on it. I don't know if that means that's what I'm watching or if that's an option on it. So like half the time I
Yeah.
don't fucking know. But the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition really stands out. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That would be one that stands out to me. Is like I've told you, I was really disappointed with the theatrical cut. I've seen it twice. If there's one movie I really wanted to love, it's Batman v Superman.
Right.
I just was very disappointed. And with the Ultimate Edition, with the half an hour, 28 minutes that is added, for me it does change a lot, and it makes me actually like
it
the
explains
movie.
some of
Yeah.
like the really bizarre plot conveniences and just like
Yeah.
like the plot kind of making no sense. The Ultimate Edition cleans that up, which is
Yeah,
like you still
and-
have all the stuff people don't really like you still have the
Yeah.
Martha shit, but like
Yeah. But it's an easier pill to swallow than what was there before.
yeah. Is that all?
That would be all for today because, there's a lot of stuff we could have talked about, and like the Super Duper cut, I took alternate, approaches to them.
Boom.
Like even with this fake news game, I had a bunch of variations.
enjoyed
of it 'cause
doing
there was
that.
so much. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. And, if people did, let us know, because if that can be a thing, maybe, once a week, I think that would be fun to do.
Yeah, I'm down. That was fun. Yeah.
Well, hey, what did we learn this week? How about that? Let me
What did
ask.
we learn?
What did we learn? Because we learned the Oscars.
Are dumb.
It's dumb. It's not that credible anymore.
I
learned
still think it didn't lose all credibility. I just think like it took a beating to its
Not
credibility.
not all, but yeah, I think it has a big hammer to it. And when I talk about the Oscars now with friends, I don't have much of a defense for what they're arguing with now, because a lot of what they've argued with was pretty much this point exactly. So I don't have much ammunition. I'll still watch it, and I will never get into it. However, it is another category to add to my betting.
Exactly, and that's fun.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah.
What else did we learn? We learned that the Deadpool 2 Super Duper cut's kind of funny. We learned that
It's kind of funny. We learned that there is a controversial, non-controversial scene. And let me say this. I believe in the trailer of Deadpool, they have, when he walks in, he sees Vanessa and he says, I was out winding up all the gluten and, launching into space where it can't not hurt us anymore. I thought it was one of the funniest lines. I don't believe it's in the theatrical cut.
No, it's not.
Pretty sure it wasn't. Yeah, and it is in the Super Duper, which I was very happy with.
Nice.
And there's a very funny anal bleaching joke in there. That just to tickle your ass with a
Classic.
feather of what's in there.
What?
To tickle your ass with a feather. You never heard that saying?
No, I don't.
There's
think I
sayings
have.
that I have and I say to people, like a lot of people like laugh at that, and I say it very seriously most of the time, and they laugh, and I just have a very serious face and like something funny. And one time I was talking to a friend, and he's with his girlfriend who is attractive, and I start talking. I was going on a rant. I was like, okay, I gotta stop because I have diarrhea of the mouth, which to me, I don't think of that as, like an ew saying. It's just, somebody who just can't shut up. You're regurgitating a lot of, just nonsense. So diarrhea of the mouth. And most like that. Like, most people like that saying that I've, said it to. And then this guy's girlfriend was like, she started freaking. I was like, ew, oh my God, that's disgusting. And now when she sees me, she thinks of me having diarrhea coming out of my mouth.
It is, if you've never heard that expression before, it does sound gross.
It does sound gross, but I think if you overthink it and you're thinking of like, yeah, now I'm envisioning that, and then yeah, I get that's gross. But if you just think like, if we're talking and I'm just spewing out a bunch of like, all right, it's time to move on. It's like, all right, you got diarrhea of the mouth. Let's get going.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyways,
you got diarrhea of the mouth right now. Talking about diarrhea of the mouth.
I do
Ben.
Right now.
All right.
Anyways, we've learned that the Oscars. Hey, we're going to have another category to bet on. We learned that there's a lot of fake news out there, and Star Wars Episode 9 will not be split into 2 parts. And, the jury is out if it is going to be the longest Star Wars movie yet. We won't know. And that X-Men Dark Phoenix has 2 weeks of reshoots. We also learned that Star Trek 4, why do it if you don't have Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth? And most importantly, what we learned? Is that we switched up how we do our reviews.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen it, check out Mission Impossible Fallout. Our review.
Jake and Ben Show on YouTube. Get on it. Yeah, this was a weird episode because we agreed with everything.
We did, and that usually doesn't happen. I feel like when we talk, sometimes we'll agree on basis of things, but not like if we dislike them, with movies, like when we've reviewed stuff, sometimes we've had the same score but totally different outlooks on a movie.
Right. But this has been an anomaly. It's weird, but it's refreshing. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll sleep well tonight. Everything will be okay. The sun will rise in the morning. Well rested. Time for another day.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Let's get out of here.
All right.
I'm getting out of here. I'm going to walk out of the room or I'm going to have diarrhea of the mouth.
Yes. Leave the room. Here we go. Jake and Ben Show. Twitter, Facebook. Follow us. Like us. YouTube, Jake and Ben Show. Subscribe to us. iTunes. Give us a rating. 5 stars preferably, but whatever you feel is what you'll give us. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. Reviews on YouTube, podcast, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play. Just we're all over the internet. You'll find us if you want to find us. If you don't want to find us, then you won't find us. But if you want to find us, you'll find us. And
it's me walking out the room.
Ben's just throwing shit, so we got to get out of here. Bye for now. My nose hit the mic there. Let me try that again. Bye for now.